Hurricane Gustav continues to batter the Gulf Coast, but already most agree the response to this natural disaster is significantly better than 3 years ago when Katrina rocked the nation. We'll have live reports from the Gulf region coming up in just a moment. The GOP wasted no time in curtailing events at this week's scheduled Republican National Convention, holding only meetings that are absolutely necessary to nominate their candidates.
There's very little doubt that we have to go from a party event to a call for to the nation for action. Action to help our fellow citizens in this time of tragedy and disaster. We will act as Americans, not as Republicans, because America needs us now, no matter whether we are Republican or Democrat.
We'll have live reports from St. Paul with reaction to that decision and to the surprise announcement that Alaska Governor Sarah Palin would be McCain's running mate.
Governor Sarah Palin of the great state of Alaska.
To serve as vice president beside such a man would be the privilege of a lifetime, and it's fitting that this trust has been given to me 88 years, almost to the day, after the women of America first gained the right to vote.
But will women vote for her? Will her teenage daughter's pregnancy affect this election? And does she have the experience to lead the nation if the need arises? Our D.C. Bureau Chief Robert Trainum and our CN8 Special Correspondent Larry Kane gives us some insight into that and more when CN8 presents America's Next President right now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for what was to be the beginning of our coverage of the Republican National Convention. I'm Lynn Doyle, and as you know, the anticipated arrival of Hurricane Gustav in the Gulf Coast region of the nation has put politics on hold, although the announcement regarding Sarah Palin as McCain's running mate and the subsequent disclosure that she has a 17-year-old daughter who is pregnant has certainly generated lots of political discussion in St. Paul and elsewhere around the nation. We're going to talk about all of that later tonight. But because the GOP felt it would be inappropriate to be holding party festivities at a time when life and property is in peril, it has suspended most speeches, performances, and parties for this evening. Instead, it has focused its attention and the attention of its presumptive nominee, John McCain, to the Gustav-ravaged areas of Louisiana. Some 2 million people have been evacuated already. Another 500,000 are without power, but it does appear that it has been far less devastating than originally projected. And of course, the response by all governments, local, state, and federal, has been noticeably better. But of course, it has put a damper on the normally energized opening night of the week-long convention. The GOP has responded by sharply cutting back its planned coverage of the Republican National Convention. And the mood at the Excel Center in St. Paul is significantly different than we thought it would be. Our D.C. Bureau Chief Robert Trainum is there live at this hour. Robert, tell us what it is like and how it does differ from what we expected this Monday night to be like.
Well, good evening, Lynn. You're absolutely correct. It is subdued here. As you can tell behind me, the convention floor is barely empty. There are some delegates here, but the overall business of the convention was conducted earlier this afternoon, where they actually convened the convention. They opened it up. They opened it up with a prayer. First Lady Laura Bush spoke for a few moments. There was a surrounding roar of applause. But other than that, Lynn, it's been fairly quiet. A lot of folks here have been giving money to the Gulf Coast effort in Mississippi and New Orleans. A lot of folks are obviously praying and hoping that the delegates and their families, as well as obviously the millions of people that live in the Gulf Coast, are going to be okay. But it is definitely a subdued evening here on the first night of the Republican National Convention.
All right, Robert Trainum will be back with us in just moments with more details about what to expect tonight and, in fact, in the coming week. Thanks, Robert. Right now, though, let's go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where Dan Lothian is standing by with the latest on Hurricane Gustav. Dan, good to have you with us. It certainly looks like the worst of the storm has passed where you are now.
It really does. I mean, we are still experiencing some rain here and some pockets of wind, but it is nothing like we've seen over the last several hours or so. Nonetheless, trees have been knocked down, power lines are down, hundreds of thousands of people are without power. And I can tell you that at least 2 people were killed. They were inside a house here in Baton Rouge, and a tree fell in on them. And also a 27-year-old man in Lafayette died when a tree fell on him. This obviously, at least up to now, is not another Katrina, but the Gulf Coast has been dealt a powerful punch.